Sift, sort, and summarize is an active learning strategy that engages students in analytical thinking and collaborative discussion. This strategy can be used as an effective formative assessment tool to gauge student comprehension of new learning. In this strategy, students will sift through content terms, sort the terms into student-generated categories, and use the categories to summarize content learned. Sift, sort, and summarize can be done in pairs or groups of up to 4 students. When using this or any collaborative strategy, teachers must ensure that student grouping is intentional and purposeful for promoting academic success and fostering interpersonal relationships in the classroom. To begin, the teacher will select 15 to 20 terms related to the recent unit of study or connecting previous terms to the current unit. These terms can be names, places, events, symbols, equations, or even images. Create a document with each term in a separate box using a table format. Then, copy enough for each pair or group to have their own set. Consider copying each set of the terms on different colors of paper to avoid groups mixing up terms. Next, have students cut the terms into separate slips. This is why typing them in a table is important, as it will make them easy to cut out. Once each pair or group has the terms cut out, provide them with an envelope or Ziploc bag to store the terms after the active learning experience is complete. For example, in a class of 32 students, there may be 8 groups of 4 students. Each group of 4 students would have the same 15 to 20 terms in their bag or envelope. The teacher will also need to give each pair or group several sticky notes for labeling their sorts. Here is an example of a set of terms for students to use after they have completed a unit of study on plants. Let's take a look at this strategy in action. Once the materials have been set, the teacher will provide directions, both written and verbally, to the students. Consider assigning each student a role in the group if collaborative grouping is a struggle with your students. For example, one student could be the discussion leader, etc. The activity will begin by having a student spread the terms across their table, ensuring that each term is facing up so all their peers can see the terms. Students will then sift through their terms and filter out the ones that no one in the group knows or understands. Teachers will instruct students to place those terms to the side of their table so the teacher can assess which terms need clarification as they walk the room. Provide students around 8 minutes to sift through the terms. This is an easy way to formatively assess common misconceptions or misunderstandings about the current or previous units of study. Next, students will be instructed to sort the terms into 3, 4, or 5 categories based on meaning. Students will use the provided sticky notes to label each category with a specific name. Teachers will then ask the groups to share the labels they created for their terms and a rationale for their choices. When needed, the teacher can ask for clarification, elaboration, or justification of their ideas. Finally, students will be tasked to individually summarize the content of their sort in a summary sentence or paragraph. Allowing students to first work in pairs to discuss and evaluate their learning before moving to the individual summarization provides students time to process through their learning and obtain the confidence to engage in this reflection of their learning. When students are finished writing, they should highlight each of the key terms as they are used in their summary. This helps students to truly make their learning visible not only to them, but to the teacher. The Sift, Sort, Summarize strategy is complete when all terms have been sorted into labeled categories and every student has created a summary justifying their group's sort and categories. This is an excellent way to formatively assess student comprehension throughout the unit, use as a review tool for the end of the unit, or incorporate previously learned content in order to make connections to the current unit. Sift, sort, and summarize can extend learning as well. For example, students can participate in a group huddle at the conclusion of the strategy to present their summary statements. Students would stand in their pairs or groups and take turns presenting their final summary of their group sort to another group or pair. This not only holds students accountable to the end answer, but allows for additional support or aid if there are still questions or misconceptions about the content. Sift, sort, and summarize can be elevated by using retrieval practice, utilizing terms from previous units of study and asking students to find the connections between them. This strategy can be elongated or shortened depending on the grade level and content area. For example, the teacher could also guide students through a gallery walk of the different pairs or groups after their sort and ask the class to find the best possible answers around the room in order to create a class response to extend the learning. Or conversely, a teacher could reduce the amount of terms and time given for a quick formative check for understanding of vocabulary concepts. As listed by Bernadette Lambert in her book, Moving Beyond Quadrant A, Developing Rigor, Relevance, and Learner Engagement in Your Classroom, some suggested adaptations and applications for this strategy could be: younger students can participate by printing each word in bold lettering on individual sentence strips or large paper. Give each student a word. Ask each student to think about how his or her word connects to what was learned. Identify the categories for the words. Post the category labels in the front of the room or possibly in 4 corners. Students will then do a sort as each student moves to the labeled space or corner that best represents the group for his or her word. Sift, sort, and summarize is an active learning experience that provides students the opportunity to collaborate with a deeper level of conversation, focus, and total student engagement.